Every time I leave, my heart feels a little sad, because it is like having another home, a home where there are people full of warmth and love, a home surrounded by beautiful scenery, which I personally get a tremendous lift from, and also the chance for reflection and for conversation about spiritual and philosophical matters. The history of the project to clear the footpaths goes back 10-12 years, and the principles are still the same. The idea is to make sure that footpaths are clear and marked so that pilgrims can walk through the garden of the Theotokos without fear of getting lost and knowing how far it is to go. So each year we come here, a group of 15 to 20 people, and we work daily on the footpaths, using hand tools only to clear them. We're very fortunate to be hosted by 4 monasteries, including the Holy Monastery of Vatapedi, the most holy monastery of Vatapedi. And we're very grateful for that, because without the help of the brotherhoods and the monasteries, we could not do this path clearing project. And I suppose clearly one of the other reasons for coming is not just to clear the footpaths, but also to allow us to share a little and to understand more about the monastic life on Mount Athos and about orthodoxy. It is a spiritual experience, but I suspect if you asked each of this year's 20 path clearers what their experience had been, it would naturally be very different one from another. But I know that all of us benefit in many, many different ways, both physically and particularly spiritually, from our time here. In fact, one of the whole joys for us of the project is that while there are a number of Orthodox people, out of this year's 20 members of the team, 9 are Orthodox. For us, it's a great, those of us who are not Orthodox like myself, it's a very good opportunity to talk to them and to learn to them, as well as to learn from the fathers in the monasteries that we're staying with about orthodoxy, and to look at the similarities and indeed the differences between our separate versions, separate brands even of Christian faith. So we have Catholics, we have Anglicans, as well as Orthodox, and in the past we've had Quakers and Lutherans. In terms of nationality, the project started out mainly, I think, as a British project, because the Friends of Mount Athos headquarters, the society is based in Britain. But most encouragingly, over the last few years, well, in fact, over the life of the project, increasingly we've been getting more people of different nationalities in. So this year, 2012, we actually have 8 different nationalities, which I think is the most we've ever had. We've got British, we've got Canadian, we've got a New Zealander, we've got 2 Americans, a father and son, both Orthodox from California. We've got Belgian, French and Irish. I think that's 8. So it's Canadian too, right? Yeah, oh, and a Canadian, yes, Father, a Canadian. So no, it's a very impressive spread, and all these people come together and share this time on Mount Athos, which to all of us is very special. Thanks to the intervention of the Prince of Wales, there's some subsidy, sponsorship, which pays for the airfares from Britain and also provides transport to get us to Orinopoly and back. But the costs of the projects, for instance, the tools, the signposts, other bits of transport, first aid kit, all that sort of equipment, that is paid for by the members of the project themselves. So each member of the team makes a contribution which goes towards the equipment that we need and ferry tickets and so on. Each year it is slightly different, but the principle's the same. We maintain currently and describe a network of about 80 kilometres of footpaths on the Holy Mountain. The majority of them are basically between Carrières and Esfigmenou. Partly because these are the paths that tend to get overgrown because of the vegetation, and also because there are a fair number of pilgrims walking here. Down on the southern part of the mountain, as I understand it, the paths are much clearer because it's rockier and you don't get the vegetation growing over. So each year what we try to do is to walk each of these paths to make sure that what condition they're in, to check that they haven't become overgrown, and also to check the accuracy of the path descriptions which are available on the FOMA website. These are descriptions which tell you go 100 metres, turn left, go past the old well, downhill to the road, and so on. So it's very important that those are accurate, particularly because, as we know, things can and do change on the Holy Mountain. There may have been some work in the forest, there might be a new road put through. So every year we try to walk and check every single one of those 80 kilometres. In addition, where we find from this walk, or where we know from walking last year, the previous year, that there's work to be done, that there's bushes to be cut back, that there's signs and things to be put up, then that's what we will do out on the trail each day. A typical day for the team here at Vatopedi would mean leaving at 7 o'clock in the morning, getting maybe by about 8 o'clock, quarter to 8, 8 o'clock to the work site, or at least to be dropped off. Or when you're working on some of the longer footpaths, you may have 2 hours walking until you get to your work site. And then once we're there, with hand tools only, we work our way along the paths, trying to make sure that they're wide enough and clear enough to last for at least 2 to 3 years. On occasions, we will feel that a path is in good enough condition not to need for us to do any work on it. But I think by now we know that there are other paths that where there are particular sections. I'm thinking of a section that I was working on today, up on the ridge path, going towards Stavros Makrogenis. And there the vegetation is so thick that in 1 year the path can get lost. So we will try to do that every single year. Other areas where the path is, perhaps under trees and the leaf litter on the ground stops plants growing, perhaps we don't need to clear so frequently. One of the things that pleases me for this year is that we have managed, with the help of the teams that we've got at Kutlumissiu and at Hillendar, we've managed to walk, check and clear the entire length of the ridge path, the way of the bay, from Carrières all the way up to Hira and then on down to Hillendar and Esfigmenou. And that is the spine of a network of paths, because from there, from Hira, you can go down to Zographou, you can come down to Vatopedi. From Vatopedi you can go up to another Stavros and then down to Kostomonitou. So for us to have been able to do that entire length from Carrières all the way along, 22, 23 kilometres, is a big achievement, and I'm very pleased with the team that they did that. And the other thing we've done this year, which we've been wanting to do for some time, is to open up a new route from between Vatopedi and Pantocrator, which goes via Kulitsu, so that you no longer need, pilgrims have the choice. They can either climb up to the top at the White Gate and then go down the valley looking across Bogoroditsa and Prophetess Elias down to Pantocrator, or they now have the choice from Vatopedi to leave going towards Kultsum and then going around and up down to the beach and back up to Pantocrator. So I'm very pleased that the team have managed to do that. I first came to the Holy Mountain not to go footpath clearing. I came with a very good friend, someone I've known for many years, and he has an interest in Byzantine art, And he said to me, "Andrew, you must come." And I kept saying, "Oh, but I'm at work, I have too many things to do." Anyway, he persuaded me, and I came in 2006, and we went walking, and I visited a number of monasteries, including Vattapedi, and to be here with somebody who's knowledgeable about iconography and about Byzantine art and frescoes was the most wonderful experience. But I think the other thing which I personally got out of it is the chance to be out in unspoilt nature, out in the woods, walking. My career is as a wildlife filmmaker, so to me the natural world is hugely important, and the beauties of it are hugely important to me. And so to be able to experience the peace and the beauty of the Holy Mountain on foot, to me, was a revelation. And on top of that, to have the amazing riches of artistic riches of the monasteries and the spiritual riches was, to use an overused phrase, it blew my mind. Then this friend, who was a member of the Friends of Mount Athos, said, "You really must join the Friends of Mount Athos, and I think you'd enjoy the path clearing." So he introduced me to John, and in 2008 I came path clearing for the first time. And every time I leave, my heart feels a little sad, because it is like having another home, a home where there are people full of warmth and love, a home surrounded by beautiful scenery, which I personally get a tremendous lift from, and also the chance for reflection and for conversation about spiritual and philosophical matters which don't seem to happen out in the world, and just the chance to learn. I mean, for me it's a most incredible pleasure and privilege every year to be able to come and be part of the team. The Footpath project and the Friends are extremely grateful to a number of people here on the Holy Mountain and to the Brotherhoods. Without the incredible hospitality we receive from the monasteries, from the Brotherhoods in the monasteries, here in Vattapedi as an example, we could not do our work. I think I know we're also very grateful to the Holy Epistasia for supporting us, and also to the guest masters and to their staff for looking after us so well. We're fed, we're transported, and we're sheltered. And it is a huge amount of work for the Brotherhoods to look after an additional 20 pilgrims for 2 weeks. And so we're most grateful to all the monasteries at the Holy Mountain who host us, and particularly to Vattapedi, which always, without any hesitation, accepts our team willingly and isn't fazed when I suddenly say, "Oh, we're going to be 10 next week instead of 8. It's without the help and support we get from the monasteries, we could not do this job, and we're extremely grateful.